All right, so today we're going to be doing a quick interview with a very successful and I think happy client named Danielle, who has been working with me for a few years now. And she's here to just share her experience about the process, what she was expecting coming into it, what actually it was actually like, and just getting her feedback and her thoughts on, where she started to where she is today. So I am thrilled to introduce Danielle. Welcome, Danielle. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Can you share a little with me about your background, where you were in your career, kind of where you were before we got started working together?
Yeah. I'm an army officer, so I had been working, I think, for like a couple years. I came out of college with some student debt, but was able to get that paid off. And once I had that paid off and I had paid off my car, I didn't really have any more debts. And then I, started accumulating some money, and I just noticed like I just have a bunch of money just sitting, not doing anything in my checking account. And I was like, I know people invest money, I know they put it somewhere, but I literally have no idea what they do with it. And so that's, obviously that's when I connected with you. I'm like, I definitely need somebody who can kind of advise me, and someone that I know I can trust to say like, hey, this is like something really good that you can do with your money. And I know, like, being young, I think at the time I was 24, I'm like, this is like the perfect time to start. I'm young, I have like a good career right now, I know I have stable funds, and I know I wanted to start investing soon. So I really had no idea where to start, and that's kind of where we connected. And it's been just a really great experience. It's nice to have the education to like learn like not only what my money's doing, but kind of like seeing it grow over time. So that's been a really great thing. So not only just like having the education to do it, learning that, but also like seeing progress based off my goals that we kind of created, and like making an individual plan so I can see like, hey, if I want to buy a house in 10 years, like I'm working on that right now. So I don't have to like scrounge for funds in 10 years, like when I decide I want to buy a house or whatever kind of thing, go back to school or things like that. So it's
Yeah.
been a really great process so far.
Awesome. So a lot of people I feel like are in a situation like that where they have a little extra money. Everybody's been told that they need to save, they need to invest, but there's a big barrier like that keeps people back from actually like doing it, actually reaching out and taking action. So was your pain point just the fact that you knew your money wasn't working for you hard enough and that you've been told to save, or was there anything else that you felt like kind of inspired you to take that next step? Because it's a really hard thing to do, to start opening up to someone and kind of showing what you have financially, like where you're struggling, what you're confused about, and just asking for help. A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, I also think a lot of people struggle with the idea of like, I can figure it out on my own. Like, I don't need somebody else to tell me. Sorry.
No worries.
Um, they're
Yeah.
like, I can do this. I can do my own research. I can like figure out what I'm going to invest in. But I will counter that in saying you probably aren't going to take the time to do so. I know for me, like if you're busy working, unless you're like really passionate about learning about money and like where your money's going, you're most likely not going to take the time. And I know I certainly wasn't. So that really did drive me. And it also helped that I had a lot of friends that were doing it too. Like it's cool to see people my age like talking about like, hey, what are you like investing in? Or I just got a financial advisor, and like having a bunch of like other young adults who are, taking their finances seriously. So that really did drive me, as well as just having friends that were doing it. So it's the best thing that I think I did like in my 20s for sure.
Nice, nice. So there's a ton of financial advisors. There's tons of people that are offering financial coaching, looking to do any type of financial services. What was it that made you decide to work with me?
Um, I mean, obviously, like you can tell, like you're super passionate about it. You're extremely knowledgeable and just like really charismatic. Like I can tell that you're not just trying to funnel me through and like force me to buy like a certain type of stock or like something that's specifically beneficial to you. Like you really take the time to like, hey, literally, what are your goals? Like what is it that you really want to do in your life, and like where do you really see yourself in like 10, 15, 20 years, and then you actually like consider those things and then really do what's best for me, I mean, the client versus like what might be better for you, you know? So, I mean, that's great. Like, I don't think you get that with anybody. Just anybody can, be a financial person, like, well, those businesses, but like it really having a personable, person to work with is really what makes it so much better.
Yeah, personal finances is super personal, so it's really nice to
Yeah.
have like a person, right, to
Yeah.
verify. So we when we like started the planning process, setting goals, doing budgets, like learning about investing, all that stuff, we did a lot of different activities. And I know it was for you it was a while ago. But is there any one particular activity or something that stuck out for you that was like extra helpful? That like just was
Yeah.
like, wow, that was, maybe that pushed us over the tipping point of saying like, yes, let's do this.
What I really like that we did was like, I know I've mentioned the goals thing before, but like literally not just saying like, I want to buy a house, but saying like, I want to buy a house that's going to be $300,000 and I'm going to need to put down 20%, which is going to be like what, like 60 grand or something. And that is how much I need to be saved by, in like 5 years. And then we're actually like, okay, every month, then this is how much you need to be saving. And like actually putting pen to paper. So it's not just like we're dreaming, you know, random things and like putting random numbers down in an account. Like we're actually saying, like, okay, if you literally do this every single month, you're going to have this amount of money by the time that you want to buy your house. So, I mean, I really appreciated that. Like, and not only for that goal, like, if I have kids and they want to pay for college, like we did that for a bunch of different scenarios. So, I mean, I appreciate that, like the individuality of like the planning. And I feel like, by the time I do want to take out money for a house or like kids' tuition, like I'll have the funds to do that because we've literally planned it since, just starting a couple years ago. So
Before the kids were even a thought, right?
I know, before they were a twinkle.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's so important, from my experience, it's so important to connect your goals to a why that's big enough to make you commit to things because, a lot of times it's hard to give up, what you're spending your money on today because there's nothing that's inspiring enough for you to do it. But once you start to realize like, okay, I do want to one day not have to work and I want to be able to send my children to college and I want to be able to afford my not only like a home but maybe my dream home, right? And if you
Mhm.
don't, we all think about those things. I think naturally as humans we, consider our futures a lot, but there's a big difference, like you said, between just thinking about it and then taking time to write them down and breaking big goals into smaller goals, right? Like how many times do daydreams just become a reality versus like when you actually have a plan, goals, a written plan, you assign small goals to them, and then you slowly build up the little wins to get you there. Is, I think when you actually turn goals into fruition and like something tangible that's actually something you've accomplished and
Mhm.
not just daydreams and pie in the sky numbers.
Right.
Totally. Okay. So if you were going to describe like where you were before we started our conversations and before we meeting, and and I'm going to put the caveat here that financial planning and like building your wealth isn't something that happens like that, right? It's a long process. So you're still in the infancy stage of it. You're still going
Mhm.
to see a ton of, in my opinion, you're still going to see a ton of growth, and it's exponential because the longer you do it, the more growth you see. But can you give us a little, I guess, like color around where you are today with your relationship with money, with the relationship with your finance, your confidence level when it comes to just dealing with money on a regular basis versus where you were before we met?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, like I really had no idea what my money was doing and what it could do for me. I mean, it was just sitting there doing nothing. And it was also just I really didn't know what to do with it. And it's extremely intimidating, to like deal with your money because you always hear like people lose a bunch of money, the stock market, whatever. Like you don't just these abstract terms when you don't really know anything about money. You're like, oh no, I don't want to like be crazy with it because I could lose my money. So it's been really transformative working with you because I feel now like I feel so much more confident. Like, okay, yeah, I'm like I'm checking my growth and I'm like seeing how much more I can invest. I was like, okay, now I'm actually being cognizant, like how much extra money do I have each month that I can actually reinvest into myself, or like how much more growth. I love that I'm like way more involved with it. And just thinking about it more often. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, I can really do this. Like I can survive on this amount of income, or like I have too much, I still have too much money sitting in my checking. Like I definitely can be more aggressive right now. So it's been nice. Like it's good to have a good relationship with, what you're doing with your money, and it's your future. So it's cool to like kind of invest in yourself and like your future, family or whatever you're gonna have. But I like that I'm way more cognizant about it, and like it's cool to like be a part of your own growth. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're the driving factor. Like you're the most important one. So it's so important to get like your education level up, your understanding, and your really your buy-in, because what we're trying to do is create a life that's your best life. Have you heard that quote from Tony Robbins? It's where focus goes, energy flows.
mhm.
Like for me, it's like one of the ones that comes up so often, because most times when it comes to finances, like if you feel unconfident, if you feel a little nervous about it, the first thing we want to do is avoid it, right? Like we
Mhm.
don't want to carve out time to like look at our budget, to review our credit card statements, to see how our investments are doing, to understand the fees that our investments are holding. But when you get to a point where you have a little bit more of I think a healthy relationship with your money, it gets to be exciting to watch your bank account grow, watch your investments accounts grow, watch how it's affecting your overall situation. And then you start to carve out, and you get used to carving out the time in your schedule to sit down and focus on, like, hey, how has this, what we implemented last month or last quarter, affected me today, and then are there any small tweaks that we can make along the way that's going to really increase my financial health and position later on down the road.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. It's such an important thing for people to do, and I'm still trying to figure out what's going to inspire people to actually put their finances first, take care of themselves, invest in themselves, so that one day they don't have to be stressed out about money and can do the things that they really want to do.
Oh,
uh, so if you were going to sit down and you were going to like maybe refer a good friend, or if you were going to speak to someone who's on the fence about booking a call with me, knows that they might need to save a little bit more, they might need a little bit of help, but they're not really sure if they should take that next step yet. Maybe they're worried about how much it's going to cost, maybe they're just feeling insecure about their current situation. Do you have any words of wisdom or guidance, or encouragement for someone who's in that situation?
right. I mean, obviously, I'd say absolutely do it. I think always trust somebody whose job it is to do something that you most likely can't do as well yourself. Um, it's it's so cool to like work with somebody, like, and if you want to learn yourself, that's totally cool too. Like I think you provide varying levels of like hands-on, I guess, with the money. So it's like if you want to have it completely controlled, or if you don't, or if you just want to learn, or if you want to get out of debt, there's no minimum to start. There's no like you have to be super rich, or I have to have a ton of extra money every month. Like you literally can start like come as you are, like however however you are. Like it's cool. Like, do you want to earn money that's like not money that you put in? Like I love seeing interest on accounts. Like where does this money come from? It's just crazy to me. It's awesome. Like it's just things that I know personally. I feel like I'm pretty smart. I just things that I most likely would not do on my own. Um, I mean, I would highly encourage it. And like even just giving it a try, like having a meeting, getting the information, educating yourself to see like, is this something I want to do? And then make the decision for yourself. Like, but give yourself the opportunity to like have the research and the knowledge about it before you like blatantly disregard it, because you might be surprised like the amount of things that you can get out of it. That's I think like some people are like it is intimidating, it is like sensitive dealing with money. So I would say like just at least get the information, because you just never know. You never know how big you can grow unless you try. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you really sometimes you don't know your full potential and you just don't know what you don't know. And like you said, if it's not a good fit, it's totally fine, right? Like that's it's the goal isn't to have every single person join the program or work with me. The goal is to spread financial literacy, increase people's financial health, and people come from all different sides of the spectrum, you know. Like you said, um, you know you could do it, right? You're super smart, you're super capable. If you wanted to take the time to do a deep dive and figure all this stuff out by yourself, you could do it. But that means that you're giving up time spending like with your dogs, with
Right.
family, spending on your work, right? And if you don't actually enjoy looking over the numbers and thinking through your goals and asking, you know, the hard questions and really holding the mirror up and taking a true look at yourself and your finances, then you know, maybe it's a good fit, maybe it's not. But there's, like you said, there's a you don't know what you don't know, and you should just give it a shot, I guess, because some of the biggest mistakes people make are the ones where they don't take any action at all,
Yeah.
and let time pass them by, and then a decision is made for them without them actually making the decision themselves.
Mhm. Yeah,
Awesome.
no, especially for young people, like, I think, young people, like, we're afraid to it's hard to visualize the future sometimes because it's like it seems far away and it's like, well, why should I spend this amount of money now when I can like buy a concert ticket or I can buy a new car or I can like buy a boat or whatever it is that you're wanting to do with your money. But it's like I think the cool thing too is it's like we're not only planning for when you're 65 and retired. Like we're also planning for like, when you're 30 and you want to go back to school or when you're 40 and you want to buy your house. It's like every stage of your life we're planning for. It's not just like when you're 65 and retired and you're old and you're like, well, I won't be able to go to the Bahamas when I'm 65. Well, you probably can, but skydive or whatever it is that you want to do. So I think that's cool. It's like it's every stage, every season of your life. So I
Yeah,
would, yeah.
it's very much about finding that balance because we all work super hard and we want to be able to, you know, live in the present and today, enjoy our life today, but also know that you're doing something to be able to enjoy life in the future. And it's finding that balance. And I think you nailed it pretty well there because a lot of people are afraid that either seeing a financial professional or an advisor is going to like restrict what they can do. Someone's going to
Mhm.
tell them, oh, you can't go out and buy Starbucks every day, or you shouldn't be spending your money on that. And that's really not the approach, right? The approach is saying what's most important to you, where do you want to prioritize your spending, and are you currently spending it in that manner? And a lot of times when people start to, peel back the onion layer and look at how they're spending their money, they start to realize that they're spending it in areas that aren't in line with their values, that aren't important to them. And if they then rediverted it and spent it over here, then it would make them a lot more happy, right? The analogy
Mhm.
I always use with people is like, how many times have you gone to the bar and bought a bunch of drinks for people you don't really like? It's like,
Right.
is that in line with your values, or could you have put that to a fund for travel? Could you put 50,
Right.
in a I'm going to go to the Bahamas fund, and then would that have made will that make you more happy in the long run? And everybody's answer is going to be different. So being able to ask yourself the right question to come to your right answer is super important. And that's kind of what my program's all about. It's education, it's understanding, it's self-awareness, understanding where you are at now, where you want to be, and what are your behaviors and habits that are good, bad, or maybe need to be addressed.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for taking the time and kind of sharing your experience with me and the rest of the viewers, because spreading financial literacy is, well, it's April, so it's Financial Literacy Month. Uh,
Ooh.
so it is very important, but what you're doing is truly like a gift to other people, because if you can, inspire one person to just take action, whether it's booking a call with me or doing a little extra research or even sitting down with their family's financial advisor and taking it seriously, like that's going to be, in my opinion, a massive leg up or foot up in this world. And, as they start their financial career or as they figure out how to best deal with their money. So, I'm hoping that this interview is going to spread a lot of value and good in the world. So thank you for taking the time to share your experience with
Yeah,
me and everybody else.
absolutely. I definitely hope that people, take the time to at least reach out or reach out to whomever. Take care of your money.
Yeah, take care of your money and let your money take care of you eventually.
Yeah.
So guys, before we wrap up today's interview, I wanted to take a moment and thank you for spending time with me and Danielle. I hope that Danielle's interview gave some insight into what can happen and what you could experience if you decide to book a call with me. You see, Danielle wasn't paid to do this interview. She wasn't incentivized to do this interview. She did this interview purely out of the goodness of her heart because she believes in the process and she wants to share financial literacy and education with anybody else who is looking for help, who may be struggling financially or unsure what to do or what's the next step. Basically, someone who wants to optimize their money so that they can live the best possible life they can, to make sure that their money is working hard for them, to make sure that their spending is in line with their values, and overall that they're finding peace financially. So if you have any questions, I want to inspire you to take some time, take action, and book a call with me to ask some questions. The call is free and we're here to help. Our mission at Kalak Capital is to educate, guide, inspire, and coach people towards their financial dreams. So if you have financial dreams, if you have financial goals, and you do not have a team of people that are helping move you closer to those goals on a daily basis, then take some time, book a call, and ask away. We're excited and we're looking forward to hearing from you. With that said, I want to wish you and your family ultimate financial success and freedom and a wonderful day. Take care.